and I will open up the procedures in calling for apologies for absence. Anybody got apologies? No, we're all here, I think. So there's none there. Item 2, approve as correct record the minutes of the meeting held on 13th of February. That's on page 5. And anybody, I'll move that. Seconded. We agreed. Thank you. Declarations of interest. Anyone wishing to declare interest? None declared? All right. Forward plan, we're just down for noting. That's on page 9. We agreed? Thank you very much. Right, we'll move on to some meat. 5, update report and interim recommendations of the funding review working group. That's down to Emma. Thank you.
Thank you. This is just a report from the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. You'll note this in a slightly different format to normal. So this was the funding review that they've chosen as a group to pause for now. This is due to they want to see how the Labour government are going to change funding, so they want a bit more information before they restart the meeting. However, they did want to give you an update on what they've done so far, so it's more just to note, and then if you want me to take any questions back, then let me know. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thanks, Emma. Anyone with questions? David?
It's not a question, Chair. I just wanted to comment that it's an interesting, different approach to scrutiny, to do this sort of action learning with officers and scrutiny, and it seems like it's been successful. So if we get this government doing the same sort of approach to grant funding as the previous government, then it'll be useful for them to come back. If they don't, then we won't need to, will we? Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? No one else. I'll move that recommendation. It's on page 17. Seconded. Agreed. Thank you. Moving on to page 27. And this is item 6, which is a procurement strategy. Got that right? No, I haven't. Yeah, yes, I have. Yes. Yeah, that's quite right. So the procurement strategy is, and the recommendation is laid out there on page 27. I'll ask Fran to speak to that.
Thank you, Leader. So this report seeks approval of the Council's procurement strategy for 2025 to 2027, and it's part of a much wider piece of work that has been and continues to be undertaken to review the Council's procurement function and ensure compliance with the Procurement Act 2023, which went live in February of this year. The report provides further detail on some of the activity that the procurement project team have been undertaking across the council following a review of the function with support of consultant Spend Solutions. Activities that have been undertaken include changes to our contract and procurement rules, which were approved by council earlier this year. Training for all officers involved in procurement to ensure better understanding of the new rules and the Procurement Act. Implementation of a new contract management module on our intended software system to ensure better oversight of contracts, including expiry and extension timelines. A review and refresh of our published contracts register. A review of supplier spend and contract compliance across departments, and the creation of a new operating model for our procurement function. Historically, our procurement function has been provided by another local authority, and this arrangement comes to an end on the 31st of March this year. It's recognised that effective procurement and contract management can support delivery of many of our council priorities, including efficiencies in spending on our suppliers. It's also recognised that the level of capacity of our current providers is insufficient to meet our ambitious delivery plans that are set out as part of our Gedling plan. As such, and to ensure Gedling's procurement function is sufficient and compliant with the Procurement Act, an in-house contract and procurement manager has been appointed and is due to start with the organisation in the middle of April. To support them, additional capacity will be provided from another local authority as a procurement partner. This arrangement is currently being concluded with implementation due imminently. The strategy which Cabinet are asked to approve provides the overarching objectives of our procurement function going forward and satisfies internal audit recommendations. The document has been prepared taking into account the Government's National Procurement Policy Statement, which was published in February of this year, and seeks to align national and local priorities in one document. The strategy sets out how the Council's procurement activity can support the Gedling Plan priorities and sets out a list of objectives linked to each priority, along with details of how those objectives have been or will be met. In summary, the strategy sets out how procurement will support economic growth by enabling small and medium-sized enterprises and voluntary community and social enterprises to easily engage with procurement processes at the council. The council seeks to encourage bids from local suppliers and will work with suppliers who treat their employees well and provide development and growth opportunities for local talent. Procurement opportunities will be sought with suppliers who seek to mitigate environmental impacts in their businesses, aligning with our carbon management approach, and those suppliers who are inclusive and support opportunities for young people and underrepresented groups, including care leavers. The strategy details how the council will seek to engage suppliers who actively tackle modern slavery and human rights violations as part of the council's aim to eradicate modern slavery in supply chains. The strategy also sets out how the council will seek opportunities to achieve better value through working collaboratively with other local authorities when procurement opportunities arise. On a more practical level, the strategy sets out what governance arrangements will be and have been put in place already to support an efficient and compliant approach to procurement, including training, supplier engagement networks, closer monitoring of spend and alignment with financial systems, better risk management and performance management of contracts, and ensuring organisationally we have a more joined-up approach to procurement and a procurement service which is user-friendly. A key priority in the strategy is to better lever opportunities through our approach to social value. Shortly following this strategy, the council will be developing a social value policy and process in order to give suppliers options as to how they can deliver social value through their contracts. It's recognised that this document may develop as our new procurement team embeds, and a delegation is sought for minor amendments to be made once the arrangements with our new procurement local authority partner are finalised, so their information can be contained within the strategy. Once our contract and procurement manager is in place, again, there may be some changes to the strategy, but I will come back to Cabinet if there is anything significant amongst those changes. I seek approval of this strategy now, which has been developed taking into account the National Policy Statement, Gedling Plan and other local policies in respect of modern slavery, equality, diversity and inclusion, carbon management, information governance and our digital data and technology strategy. And finally, I would like to thank our current procurement partner, North East Derbyshire, for their work with us over a number of years. And I would also like to thank Spend Solutions for their support with this project. And finally, the procurement project team for their ongoing commitment and dedication to this project. Thank you.
Thanks, Fran. Any comments? Jenny?
Did you say the national guidance came out in February? It was pretty astonishing turnaround then.
Yeah, their sort of policy statement was published in February of this year, just before the Act went live. Yeah.
No, I mean it's very timely in terms of efficiencies, transparency, and everything else. But it's so nice to see that you've simplified the application so that local businesses are not put off from actually applying. We really want to give them the opportunity to get that experience if they're starters. But also use the local businesses that are available where it's appropriate to do so. So, no, it's excellent. It's straightforward to read, and thank you for all the work.
Jenny, Viv?
Yeah, just to echo what Jenny's saying, thank you for that. It really read very well. For me, local businesses, I think you've highlighted that, using local talent as well and thinking about our young people and our care leavers, but also the carbon strategy as well. So it ticks all our boxes. It's what we're about in Gedling, and I think it comes across really well. And let's hope we can implement it and make some changes. So yeah, thank you.
Anybody else? No one else? No, just reiterating what Fran said. A brilliant piece of work put together in a short space of time. So congratulations to the team. I look forward to get some, as I said earlier in the meeting, wheeler dealing, get some good deals, you know. Look at what they tell you on the telly. Mike knows about this on Bargain Hunt, don't you, Mike? Is that your best deal when you buy an antique, you know? And really pressure it a bit now. So anyway, we're saying those few words. The page 27, you've got the recommendation. I'll move that. We seconded and are we agreed? We are agreed. Thank you. Moving on to page 53. Which says Tina here, but it's not. Scott, you've been elevated. You've been elevated, mate. So it's over to you to introduce this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Leader, and good afternoon, everyone. The fees and charges report is essentially set out in two two parts. The first part is for members to approve and adopt the new corporate charging policy, and this can be seen in Appendix 1. It's imperative that our fees and charges are based on a rational approach and that fees are set on a cost recovery basis, and this policy sets out the scope and the basis for charging and the statutory powers, along with clear principles for standard charging, concessionary charges and discounts. Sorry. Is that better? Thank you. And the second part of the report is to determine the level of fees and charges for the 25-26 financial year, and these are in accordance with the corporate charging policy. And we've done this a little different this year. Rather than service areas producing separate or several portfolio holder reports to approve these fees, we're looking to capture all these fees in one report, in one schedule. And this schedule will be published on our website, which will make it easier for residents and the public to see a list of all our fees all in one place. The fees and charges provide an important income stream for the council. As reported to council on the 5th of March 2025, there is still an unidentified budget gap of 3.3 million, and it is important that fees and charges keep pace with inflation to ensure that this gap doesn't widen. The council's budget for 25-26 and the medium-term financial plan approved at council on the 5th of March set out income inflation target of 5%, which is the minimum required to balance the budget. For 25-26, this equates to a target income increase of 174k. This is just a guide percentage, and some services are dependent on market conditions, and we must ensure that all fees are benchmarked. Appendix 2 is the schedule of the proposed fees for 25-26, and this also contains the legal powers for setting each fee. Some of the services operated by the council are not included in the general fee increase due to either sensitivity of demand to price changes, they're operated on a commercial basis, or they're required to break even, such as building control. I would like to highlight the planning fees. Originally, when the schedule was set, these fees are set nationally, and at the time of preparing the report, the government hadn't agreed what the fees would be for 25-26. So since the report, the government's now given the approval for these statutory fees. So once we publish the schedule, we'll make sure that these new fees are reflected on our website. Also, I'd like to add that some of the fees in the schedule around, in the areas such as environmental services haven't been rounded to the nearest pound, and it's something that we'll perhaps look to do when we publish these fees. Also, I note that not all fees and charges fall under the remit of Cabinet to approve, and other committees of the Council need to do this. These include the Environment and Licensing Committee for the general licences, registrations, animal activity licences and taxi licensing, and also the Licensing Act Committee and those that fall under which cover fees those that fall under the Gambling Act of 2005, e.g. casinos, bingo halls and betting premises. So therefore we've got the recommendations is for the report is for Cabinet to approve and adopt the corporate charging policy. Number 1. Number 2 is for members to approve the individual fees and charges set out in the schedule. And I missed this one actually. And the third one is that the level of any new charges, concessions and discounts to be applied to any new or amended charges to be delegated to the relevant Assistant Director in consultation with the Chief Finance Officer. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Scott. Questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for the report. Can I say, I think the one report, one schedule is eminently sensible to bring it all together in one place. And I think not only be easier for the public to understand, but easier for councillors as well. So I think that's splendid. looking at the charges, there are lots of areas where there isn't actually any increase, but where there is, they seem to me to be quite modest, and they reflect the increases of the cost to this council. You did mention the pennies that are attached to some increases, and I think pet crematorium and community centres. So can I move, John, that those are rounded up to the nearest pound to make them more accessible and easily understood? And I'm sure it would be easier for accounting as well.
Seconder. Thank you. Unanimous seconding. Thank you. Okay, we're okay with the, it's moved, seconded, the recommendation on page 53. We agreed? We are agreed. Thank you. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Leader. I'm really pleased to bring this report to Cabinet. It seeks authority to approve a revenue and capital budget to expend an additional funding allocation in the next financial year. Members will be fully aware that Gedling was awarded an allocation of £2.87 million as part of the 2022 to 2025 UK Shared Prosperity Fund. We've used the funding to invest in our town and local centres, in our communities and our local businesses. We've hosted events, assisted community and voluntary sector partners to host events, created arts and cultural assets such as sculptures and murals, and funded improvements to our sports facilities in the borough, working in partnership with our sports clubs. Our community and voluntary sector organisations have worked together to co-design an in-person and online customer relations management platform known as Bricks and Clicks to support the voluntary sector in Gedling that can be accessed and operated from Gedling community hubs. To enable this work effectively, we also invested in new ICT equipment for the community hubs. We've provided over 40 grants to our community and voluntary sector organisations in the borough through our Strength in Community project, which has benefited some of our most vulnerable residents. We provided direct support to our businesses through grants and business advice, as well as re-establishing the Gedling Business Network, which has benefited over 70 businesses in the borough. Over 300 businesses have received business support and advice, with 29 businesses benefiting from business grants. We provided a range of support for the economically inactive, with over 70 people benefiting directly from the Transform Your Future initiative, and we supported around 350 people to engage in job searching across our programmes. We provided learning and development opportunities too, with digital skills, an English language and learning programme, ESOL. We provided HGV driver and forklift truck driver training. This has led to some of our residents gaining employment. Over 100 people have been supported to engage in life skills, with 56 people gaining qualifications and licences, helping them to transform their lives. A celebration event for key stakeholders has been arranged for later this week, and a brochure of key projects is included at Appendix A. This provides full details of the initiatives, and there are some really good case studies in there too. The extension into Year 4 has been awarded to the East Midlands Combined County Authority, with confirmation of Gedling's £1.172 million award confirmed following ratification at the February EMCA board meeting. Each local authority is expected to continue its collaboration with a local partnership group. We've got a really well-established group in Gedling comprising of key stakeholders with political oversight from the leader and deputy leader. Leader, I recommend that the capital and revenue budgets are established in accordance with the report to facilitate expenditure under Year 4 of the programme. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments? David?
Thank you, Leader. And I think this is a really good report. And the brochure of projects they've done shows what a relatively small amount of money can make. I think in the context of the first report from Overview and Scrutiny, it shows the difference between the the waste of time and effort in competitive bidding with this sort of formula-based approach. And of course, as we know, it's the continuation of the EU structural funds, so it shows what difference that can make. Thank you.
Jenny?
Yes, thank you for the report, Mike. It's been a fascinating, interesting and exciting 3 years being involved with this. I think it's strengthened existing partnerships and it's formed new ones which we can take into the future. And the collegiate approach and the collaboration that's taken place has produced some really excellent results. So my thanks go to everybody that's been involved in this. I'm really excited about the celebration day on Friday because some of the case studies and the presentations I think will be really, really worthwhile. And I know you're going to struggle to come, John. I don't want to say too much because I shall ruin my speech, shan't I, for Friday. But it's been remarkable. I was privileged to be on the panel which assessed some of the applications for business support. And the entrepreneurs we've got in Gedling is phenomenal. The businesses coming together for the support network have showed commitment and enthusiasm to support each other and grow their own businesses. So I'm hoping we can actually continue with those, at least for a little while longer. So it's been very worthwhile. I think David's right. It just shows what you can do with a small amount of money when people come together and put ideas forward. We went to the mural, didn't we, yesterday, which was an incredible piece of work and involved the community of all ages, from young people to the seniors. The sculpture in Arnold, again, consultation with young people, having input in what they wanted to see. So there are lots of examples and the brochure is really good, really good. So hopefully people will access that and see what's actually been achieved. And I look forward to the next phase when we can consider that work with possibly a little bit more flexibility in some of the themes, which will enable us to do even more. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Jenny. Yeah, perhaps get some money back off the city now they've sold Broad Marsh, so they'll put that in the pot, won't they? But it shows you, I mean, it is, and it's great for, for the teams that have been involved with it and for the people that have received the help. But it shows if you give the money to a local authority, a good local authority, that they'll deal with it. And all the other bidding and everything else that goes through, it gets really frustrating and probably wastes quite a lot of time as well in getting these things forward. Special congratulations to whoever put the pamphlet together, not because we're in it, but it gives you a good... It's nice, it's colourful, it's an easy read, you can understand it, and I think local people... Have we got this on the website now?
It will be published online, but this is going to form the basis of the celebration event. So we're going to hand this out to all of the key stakeholders. So there'll be multiple copies handed out that can be shared more widely.
And in suitable places as well, like local libraries, etc.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. Thank you. So there's no further comments. So if not, then I'll move it. Seconded, and we agreed. Thank you very much. On to the final item, which is Mike again, which is money again. So over to you, Mike. This is welcome news.
Yes, thank you, Leader. Yeah, also absolutely delighted to bring this report to Cabinet. It seeks approval for the Council as the accountable body to put in place arrangements to ensure that appropriate processes are in place to ensure compliance with the Plan for Neighbourhoods £20 million award. So last March, the Council was notified by the former government that we would receive endowment-style funding support worth up to £20 million. Following the announcement, in accordance with the published guidance, we established a town board and appointed Sir John Peace to the role of independent chair. In full consultation with the local community, the board developed a draft 10-year vision for Carlton, including a 3-year investment plan outlining how funds are to be allocated. The draft plan includes interventions to address the needs and priorities of Carlton and refer to the themes of the former guidance. The board also resolved to enlarge the boundary to include Mapley at its northern point and Netherfield Lagoons at its southern extent. The work of the board was paused in December 2024, awaiting the publication of a new prospectus and technical guidance by the Labour government. The new prospectus was published on the 17th of March, and it requires the council to confirm the finalised board membership and boundaries by the 22nd of April of this year. The vision and investment plan are required to be reviewed by the board, supported by officers and specialist consultants to ensure there's full compliance with the new themes and priorities set out in the reform programme, which requires a regeneration plan and a 4-year investment plan. This work will need to be completed before the winter of this year for assessment and approval by MHCLG. Delivery of the projects identified in the approved plan will commence in the 2026-2027 financial year. So, Leader, in accordance with the report, it's recommended that Cabinet, firstly, accepts a £20 million plan for neighbourhoods funding over 10 years and the conditions of the funding. Secondly, establishes a revenue budget of £200,000 for the capacity funding expected in 25-26. Thirdly, delegates the finalised membership of the Greater Colton Neighbourhood Board and any proposals to alter the boundaries to the Chief Executive. Fourthly, delegates the establishment of governance arrangements for the board to the Chief Executive, working in partnership with the independent chair. And finally, authorises consultation and engagement to be undertaken to inform the development of a 10-year Greater Colton regeneration plan and 4-year investment plan. Thank you, Leader.
Thanks for that, Mike. Really good news. Bearing in mind this money was a bit political for a minute, but it was promised and there was no actual fund for it. And it also shows that our MPs are actually working. Michael Payne and Michelle Welsh have been working and lobbying, as I call her, Rachel in accounts, as her nickname is, but the Treasury person there. So we've got this money now. It's up to us to spend it wisely, but as soon as we can get it spent, because of inflation and everything else, that's what would be reduced it down over the years. But yeah, great work. We'll go back. I mean, I'm on that board along with others, and there are all sorts of persuasions, all sorts of people, but they are actually working hard to improve the situation in the area that's just been outlined. So are there any comments?
I just want to say thank you to our MPs, Michael Payne and Michelle Walsh, because you've said it yourself that this was actually money that was promised to us, it was announced, and the money wasn't actually there. And if it wasn't for their lobbying, we wouldn't have maintained, that money. Which is obviously really important to our area. And also, I'd just like to say that I'm really grateful that we've got the voice of young people on that board as well, as a voice for young people in the borough. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No one else? So all in four, so that's it, and that's the end of the meeting. Thank you.